Hello, everybody. It's me, Liz Marie. Long time no see once again because it's already, what, March? Yeah, March. I don't even remember the last time I sat down and did a video, but that's beside the point. I'm going to talk about what I read for January and February of this year. Just going to mush them together since I let the year go by so swiftly. I don't know what to say. I'm very bad at this. So let's just get into the books, shall we? Yeah. The first book that I read for this year was The Lost Meadow, which is the fourth book in the second Mistborn series. Yeah, I finished the first two Mistborn series. The average rating on Goodreads is 4.48. I gave it, can you guess? I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. I have a feeling, because it's my feelings, I'm still trying to work through them. I think I prefer, I love both eras of Mistborn. I love both of them. I think I prefer the second era though, just a little more. There's just something about it. Usually I'm not like a Western person. I can't enjoy a Western. It's not my favorite. But there's just something about the characters in this one that I really loved. My favorite character is Wayne. I feel like people probably, he's like the least favorite character because of his personality, but that's why I love him. I don't know if I want to give you guys a synopsis. I kind of just want to go through these really quickly. Maybe in the future I'll go back to how I was doing the synopsis and stuff, but this is going to take forever. 2 months. And it's like 20 something books I think that I've read so far this year. So the second book I read is One Piece Volume Number 9. Tears, and I gave it 5 stars. It was the best one that I've read so far. I had the most fun reading it. The average rating on Goodreads is 4.58. Pretty good. Yeah, this is the one where they fight Arlong. So, loved it. The third book I read was Everything the Darkness Eats by Eric LaRocca. Has an average rating of 2.8. Wow. I was not expecting that. Is this the lowest rated book I've read? It only has 3,100 ratings. That's pretty low. I gave it 3 stars. I don't know, a lot of Eric LaRocca just doesn't do it for me. On average, just 3 stars. I'm trying to remember which one this one was. There's disappearances in a small Connecticut town. Grieving widower with a grim secret is drawn into a dangerous ritual of dark magic by a powerful, mysterious older gentleman named Hart. Oh, I remember this now. I think it was more of a cohesive, because usually I think it's like anthology style. It's just a bunch of short stories. But this one was more like, I don't know if you would call them vignettes that were all connected to each other. But it was more of a cohesive thing. But 3 stars. How did I go from One Piece Volume 9 to Volume 11? I missed one. I definitely read Volume 10. It's just not listed here. Gave it 5 stars again. 4.47 average rating on Goodreads. Apparently they're still fighting Arlong. Huh. That takes a while then, doesn't it? Well, I enjoyed that one too, clearly. I gave it 5 stars. Then I read the second Luminaries book, The Hunting Moon by Susan Dennard. Average rating 3.98. 3 stars. This one's the one where they fight, like, they don't call them nightmares, do they? Do they call them nightmares? Well, it's about the Winnie Wednesday, and the Luminaries fight, I think they're called nightmares, I can't remember, but they fight these creatures in the middle of the night that appear in the forest, make sure they're dead before morning. And then there's werewolves. Well, there's other mythical creatures, but the werewolves is more of a topic, a hot topic in this book. Now I put Volume 10. What the heck? I clearly put them out of order. Like, I wasn't paying attention, I was just reading them, and I didn't enter them in here in order, apparently. This one has an average rating of 4.47. I gave it 4 stars, and I'm gonna guess they're still fighting Sawtooth Arlong. Yeah, because it's in the middle. Volume 9 and 11. Yeah. And then Nami, get more background on Nami. Enjoyed that. I read One Piece Volume 12, A lot of One Piece in January. I haven't read since, honestly. I'm probably going to pick it back up. But volume 12, The Legend Begins by Chiro Oda. I haven't been saying the name of the author. 4.44 average rating. So this has a high average rating and I gave it 3 stars. This is, I think, the first volume of One Piece that I gave 3 stars to. I did not enjoy it as much. Let me see what, Luffy narrowly escapes being executed by his old nemesis Lady Alvida and Buggy the Clown. Oh yeah, they're finally into the East Blue. I was gonna say the Big Blue this time. But yeah, I just didn't enjoy this one. They're like finally entering the East Blue with the map and all that and going to these islands that they have to navigate by a magnetic field or something. I was just annoyed throughout this whole thing. And the enemies were annoying me and I was just like, I don't like it. Read volume 13 after that, average 4.36, rating 4 stars. Back up to 4 stars. Yeah, they encountered the Baroque Works, which is like a secret society of assassinators. I'm just gonna say it, assassinators. More adventures for Luffy. I mean, it's never ending at this point. Have you seen how long the manga and the anime series is? I really wonder how they're gonna handle all that for the Netflix adaptation. There's no way. Netflix never does more than like 5 or 6 seasons for anything if they're lucky. I can't imagine One Piece getting like 1,000 seasons. The next book I read in the month of January was How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. Average rating is 3.7. I gave it 3 stars. I already kind of knew what this book was about because I follow several people on booktube who gave it reviews. So I got a more idea what it was about besides like what the title lets you know, haunted house. I found the puppet in this to be so annoying. Like the whole idea of like a puppet or dolls, creepy, can be creepy. This was like a stupid sock puppet. And then I just, maybe it shouldn't be a 3 star. And maybe I'm giving it 3 stars because I usually enjoy Grady Hendrix's work. Because I enjoy his humor with the horror and kind of like a satire flair. But this one just didn't do it for me. I enjoyed some aspects. For the most part, I did not. The relationship between the siblings, Louise and her brother, I guess because my relationship with my brother is so different, like I was just getting annoyed. I'm like, why can't you guys just work it out? But I understand. Sometimes it's just not possible. Moving on, I read the first book in the Book of the Holt that came out recently. Was this a recent release? December 5th of 2023, so pretty recent. I read The Dragons of Deepwood Fen by Bradley P. Ballou. I feel like I'm saying that last name incorrectly. Average rating is 3.8. I gave it 3 stars. The reason why I picked it up, it has dragons in the title. I love dragons. I was about to say who doesn't love dragons, but I'm sure there's someone who does not enjoy dragons, which that sounds insane. I enjoyed it for the most part, but got 3 stars for me. I think this one, I'll give you guys the synopsis. I'm kind of all over the place. Bear with me. Lorelei Aurelius is the smartest inquisitor in the mountain city of Ancris, when a mysterious tip leads her to a clandestine meeting between the church and the hated Red Knives. She uncovers a plot that threatens not only her home, but the Empire itself. The trail leads her to Ryland Holbrook, a notorious thief posing as a dragon singer. Ryland came to Ancris to solve the very same mystery she stumbled into. Knowing his incarceration could lead to the Red Knives achieving their goals, Lorelei makes a faithful she frees him. Okay, the synopsis isn't. Needs some editing. That synopsis I can remember more what happened. They're like dragon riders, the Red Knives, and like people in the Holt. It's like illegal to bond with a dragon, so they use these like magical harness. I'm like not using the term they use in the book. It's basically a harness that lets you control the dragon instead of bonding to it, which I'm just like, why wouldn't you want to bond with the dragon? But apparently it's illegal. And it's probably because it makes you more powerful, I'm gonna assume. Ryland's bonded to his dragon. So already on that, like it's part of what happens to his background with his family and stuff. And I'm just all over the place. But I like 3 stars is valid. I did enjoy this book. And I'm definitely gonna read the second one. I remember why I gave this one 3 stars instead of 4 stars, even though I enjoyed the whole story as a whole. It was slow going. Like it was very the pacing was very slow. Like, I almost DNF'd it, but then I was like, no, I'm still interested. Like, I was interested enough to see where it was gonna go. And then, like, the last quarter of the book, I think, was, like, way more interesting than the beginning, so I'm hoping the second book won't be as slow paced, because then I might not make it. Then I read Rouge by Mona Awad, 3.61 average rating. I gave it a 3-star. Gonna be honest, I feel like I'm being a little generous. I don't know, there's something about this book that was just not clicking with me. And then it was very repetitive, but it was because the woman in this book, what is her name? Belle? That's her nickname. I don't remember her actual. Mirabelle? Maybe that was it. Belle. She's like obsessively putting skincare on morning and night. So like she follows a video routine. So it's like very repetitive in that like you get the steps over and over again, like a billion times throughout the book. And like we get it. She's very concerned with aging and her skin due to things that happened in her childhood and the mother she grew up with. And then that whole thing happens, like something happens with her mom, and then she goes to, her mother dies unexpectedly, it's in the synopsis. So she ends up going back home from Canada to, you know, pack up, deal with the funeral, all of that process that comes with losing someone. And she comes across something her mom was entangled with, and it ensues from there. It's like very cult-like. I feel like all Mona's books are cult-ish. And afterwards, I read All's Well. Average rating 3.73. I also gave this one 3 stars. This one I think is really pushing it. I enjoyed Rouge more than this one, even though I thought I would enjoy this one more, because All's Well, I love Shakespeare, so I thought I would enjoy this a lot more than I did. This one's about Miranda Fitch. She was an actress, and then she had a fatal, well, it's not fatal because she's alive. She had an accident that left her in chronic pain. So now she's just a professor at a college teaching students to act and play. So she's like in control of play, and she wants to do All's Well. Students do not want to do All's Well. One day at a bar, when one of the other professors leaves, she meets these 3 men. Again, it's kind of like a cult that give her like this elixir, and it makes her feel a whole lot better. And then after that, things start to change. Her body's feeling less, you know, everything, all that jazz that comes with chronic pain. And not only that, but her personality begins to change, not necessarily for the better. And then you just like follow her through this journey of trying to do the production of All's Well. I just feel like it's a lot of cult. Like I keep wanting to read her books because the synopses sound interesting to me, but the writing style and the way it's executed, I don't know if any of her books will ever get more than a 3-star from me. But like I wanna read it. Out of all the books I read from her, Bunny would be my favorite. And that one also just got a 3-star. Then I read Silver Under Nightfall, Reaper #1 book. Second one comes out in April, which I do plan on reading. I hope it's only a duology. I like duologies. It's not too long, you know? Though sometimes you might need more to tell a story. But anyways, average rating 4.03. I gave it a 3-star. I feel like this is the year of 3 stars for me. I feel like the beginning of last year I had a lot more 4 or 5 stars, but I can't remember accurately. But this book's about Remy Pendergast. Did I tell you the author is Rin Chupeco? Chupico? Remy Pendergast, vampire hunter. You know? He's the center of the story, and then he meets these 2 vampires. There's polyamory. They learn about this threat that's going to happen. He faces social ostracization. I'm probably saying that wrong. My tongue doesn't want to work. As soon as I started reading this book, the first chapter, the action with him and the vampire, he later realized who he is, and like the relationship that ensues. I was like, yes, I'm totally in. I haven't read a vampire story in so long. I feel like that I actually was like very excited because I was worried I wasn't going to enjoy it. And then as it went on, the characters just felt very underdeveloped to me. Like they were very one note. Like Remy was either irritated or angry. The female vampire that I cannot remember, I need to start, Xiaodan? I don't know if I'm saying her name, Xiaodan Song. She's the other main character. She just felt very one note too. Like she was like just the mediator in the relationship, and then the other guy that is her fiance, Zayden, he was also just always one note, either like moody, brooding, picking a fight with Remy. I'm like, okay. I wanted more depth. And then when they did like argue and like kind of work it out, it just felt like, it was done in 5 seconds. Like, no, how are you, I don't feel like their relationship was, there wasn't enough depth. That's how I'm gonna put it. Wasn't enough depth for me. So, and they're like the main characters, so like I wanted more from them. And yeah, I don't know. I think I had higher expectations and I was a little disappointed in this book. Hopefully the second book will save it. 3 stars is still good though. Like I still like the book. It just, I was expecting it to be 4 or 5 star and it didn't end up being that way. Next book I read was Leviathan Wakes. The first book in the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey, which I believe is actually like 2 authors together, which is interesting. But the average rating is 4.30. I gave it 5 stars, guys. I need to read more science fiction. I loved this book. I love things happening in space, I realize. Last year I gave a lot of my time to fantasy. I think this year I'm gonna try for sci-fi. Sci-fi. I can't talk. Sci-fi. 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 I'm gonna try to read more sci-fi. I said this last year, and honestly, every sci-fi book I've picked up, for the most part, I have loved. So I think sci-fi is the genre for me. And I just didn't realize it. So yeah. Give me any sci-fi recommendations, please. I need them. Humanity has colonized the solar system, Mars, the moon, the asteroid belt, and beyond, but the stars are still out of reach. Jim Holden is XO of an ice miner making runs from the rings of Saturn to the mining stations of the belt. And there's Jim and his crew. And their storylines converge when they both discover, like, is it a virus? It's some kind of like virus or bacteria that like took over a station and they're trying to keep that from spreading. And then it turns out has sentience, you know. But it was like zombies in space. But more interesting than that sounds. If it doesn't sound interesting to you. But it was really good. I loved it. Want to read the rest? I heard it's a TV show. It's over. Like it ended. I don't remember if it got canceled or not, but I'm interested in watching that too. And the last book that I read for January is The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins. Average rating 3.95. I gave it 3 stars. Another 3 star for me. I mean, I gotta be happy that they're not 2 stars. Which a goal of mine is to be better about DNFing books. I mean, I rarely want to DNF a book, but if I really don't want to struggle through a book, I'm not gonna read it. I'm gonna try my best and darndest to do that. This is about Camden, the adoptive son of Ruby McTavish. It's called The Heiress because the whole mystery and thriller revolves around her. She dies. Camden has to go back for whatever reason to, you know... Well, no, she already had died. He went back for some reason. I don't know. He's the heir. She gave everything to him. So he's like allocating the money when people, the other family members, McTavishes, need something. They always have to go through him because all the money's his. There was some reason he went back with his wife. And then it turns out, I don't know, his wife had something to do with it behind the scenes, and then you find out more about that. But there's a mystery surrounding Ruby McTavish, and since Camden went back, all these like things from the past and other things are coming up, and then his wife is being, you know, sneaky deaky little woman over here because she wants the house and the riches. And then you find out some plot twists because it's a thriller. So 3 stars. I just don't think thrillers are for me. I don't know if I haven't really given them a fair shot. Like, read a lot of thrillers, but on average, I feel like they get 3 stars for me. How many books was that for January? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I think that's because I read a good amount of manga. Like 5 of those are probably manga. And 10 of them are actually like full. Not that manga doesn't count as reading, guys. They're good sized books, okay? Usually over 100 pages long. Unless you get like the omnibus ones. Then they're even longer. First book of February was The You only call when you're in trouble, which is a new release. I've been trying to do that. Keep up with new releases that I'm interested in. Yeah. By Stephen McCauley. I'm all over the place. It's usual. I really need to like get an organized structure here. 3.6 average rating. I give it, can you guess? 3 stars. I gave it 3 stars. And it's about this girl who literally only calls her uncle when she's in trouble. Yeah. And then there's stuff going on with her mom. Her mom wants to talk to her about something. And she's having like a gala. Her uncle's going through his own stuff. Something happened to her. She's a professor at a college. And something happened. So she's like under, what's the word? I can't even think of the word. Well, she's on leave because they're reviewing a case against her from another student. She's going through all that, and then she uses her mom's gala as a reason to escape for a little bit. She's having troubles with her boyfriend. The boyfriend's mom don't like her. And, you know, just life. A lot of lifing over here. I kind of honestly wish I got more from the uncle. I don't know. I enjoyed what was going on with the uncle's point of view. Then I finally got around to reading the Winter Night trilogy again. I've read the first book sometime last year. Finally got to the second book, The Girl in the Tower. 4.36 average rating. I gave it 5 stars, guys. 5 freaking stars. This was my favorite one out of the 3 because I finished, spoiler alert, I finished it. I love this book. I love it. And I want to buy all 3 and add them to my little bookcase because I do not own a lot of books. I just get a majority of them from the library, and if I really love them, I will buy them. That's not true though, because you see these? I bought these. Broken binding. Haven't read them. Gonna work on that this year too. I'm gonna read them. It starts where it left off in the first book. Vasilisa ends up in the capital. Is it the capital? What's the place called? Moscow. There you go. I'm like, why can't I think of the name of the city? He ends up in Moscow. And you know, the plot thickens. The whole thing with her being a witch follows her there. How can I explain this? I'll just read the synopsis because this is like more complicated. Vasilisa has grown up at the edge of the Russian wilderness where snowdrifts reach the eaves of her family's wooden house, and there is the truth in the fairy tales told around the fire. Vasilisa's gift for seeing what others do not want her the attention of Morosko, Frost, the winter demon from the stories, and together they saved her people from destruction. That was the first book. But Frost's aid come at a cost, and her people have condemned her as a witch. In The Girl in the Tower, Vasilisa faces an impossible choice. Driven from her home by frightened villagers, she has only 2 options left, marriage or the convent. She cannot bring herself to accept either fate and instead chooses adventure, dressing herself as a boy and setting off astride her magnificent stallion Solovey. But after she prevails in a skirmish with bandits, everything changes. The Grand Prince of Moscow anoints her a hero for her exploits, and she is reunited with her beloved sister and brother, who are now part of the Grand Prince's inner circle. She dares not reveal to court that she is a girl, for if her deception were discovered, it would have terrible consequences for herself and her family. But before she can untangle herself from Moscow's intrigues, and as Frost provides counsel for that may or may not be trustworthy, she will also confront an even greater threat lying in wait from Moscow itself. That refreshes my memory. She's like disguised as a boy, somehow gets revealed by some evil lurking in Moscow, trying to win the Grand Prince's favor and basically take over, and you find out who he really is. But you know, Vasilisa, her independent self, after going through some trials and tribulations, you know, defeats them. I'm looking forward to her Catherine Arden's new book, The Warm Hands of Ghosts, I believe it's called. Definitely reading that. And right after this, I read The Winter Witch, which is the 3rd book by Catherine Arden. 4.49 average rating. I gave it 4 stars. I just wasn't as attached to this one as it's not that I'm not attached, because 4 stars is great. I loved all 3 of the books. Just the second book really did something for me. And then like the romance between the winter demon and Vasilisa, I don't know, I really love them together, even though it doesn't make any sense, because she's like, what, not even 18? Or did she turn 18? I can't remember. But he's like hundreds of years old. I'm like, I don't think I should be rooting for this relationship. Hundreds of years old with a wee teen? I don't know. But I loved it. Shh, don't tell anybody. I don't think she ends up with him. because she's so independent, you know. She might love the guy, but she's like, you know, I'm fine on my own. I'll call you when I need you. Let me just read the synopsis for this one too, since I did it for the last book. Vasya and Morozko return. Okay, that's not this. Now Moscow has been struck by disaster. Its people are searching for answers and for someone to blame. Vasya finds herself alone, beset on all sides. The Grand Prince is in a rage, choosing allies that will lead him on a path to war and ruin. A wicked demon returns, stronger than ever and determined to spread chaos. Caught at the center of the conflict is Vasya, who finds the fate of two worlds resting on her shoulders. Her destiny uncertain, Vasya will uncover surprising truths about herself and her history as she desperately tries to save Russia. She tries to merge, like, the pagan world of all these, I guess they call them demons, but like the Hearth demon and like the Bath demon, and like the religious side of Moscow, to merge them together. Like, you can have both together to save the city. Just merge them together. You can still believe and feed the Hearth demon while you pray to God. Some people would call that blasphemous, but you know, I still love the book. Next book I read is The Fury by Alex Michaelides. Another new release. 3.46 average rating. I gave it 3 stars. It's another thriller. See, I just don't think thrillers are for me. If you guys know really, really amazing thrillers, also recommend them. Because I love thriller movies. Like suspense, thrill, love it. And movies, for some reason, doesn't translate the same for me in a book. This is a tale of murder. And a tale of murder it is indeed. The narrator is basically explaining how this big actress died, what led up to the events of her dying on this Greek island. That's it. There's some twisties and some turnings, like a play acting on the island. The whole concept was very fun. I did like it. It just, 3 stars is still good. I still enjoyed the book, but I think it was kind of predictable, and that's why it was 3 stars for me, because I could see what was going to happen. Then I read This Wretched Valley by Jenny Kiefer. Average rating 3.48. I gave it 2 stars. I was expecting more from the book. I don't know. Like, I read the synopsis and stuff, and like based on the beginning, like the missing hikers, I guess what ensues is kind of like not unexpected, but that was the problem. I wanted to be surprised. What happened wasn't surprising. It felt like something I had watched or read before. Also because I almost DNF'd it. I wasn't going to finish it. But it wasn't a really long book, so I was like, I might as well persevere. And part of it was because I wanted to figure out what happened to Dylan, because her body wasn't found. I'm like, they can explain what happened with everything out. So I was like, what happened to her? That's what kept me going. I think the one guy was looking for a new mountain or hiking range, like rock climbing range, for his like dissertation in college. And so he recruits 3 of his friends, like a fellow student and like a friend and her boyfriend. And yeah, they get stuck. There's no signal. Things start happening to them mentally, like they're losing their mind, they're seeing things, feeling things. I don't know. Horror. It's a horror, but I wanted more from it. I wanted more. Then I read Red Rising finally. This has been on my list because everyone has been like, oh my god, it's so good. By Pierce Brown. Red Rising, oh my god, it's so good, by Pierce Brown. Can you imagine if that was the title? Anyways, average rating 4.27. I'm debating 3 or 4 stars on this one. I'm currently finishing the second book. Second book is way better than the first book. I think I'll just leave it at 4 stars. Yeah, science fiction is just for me, I think. This is science fiction, right? It takes place in space. Try saying that like 10 times fast. Takes place in space. No, I'm not gonna do it. But yeah, if you don't know, which I'm sure a lot of you do know, Red Rising is a series surrounded by Darrow, who is a red, which is like the lowest caste system. Because like all the humans are like split up in colors, and the golds are at the top. And they could give 2 craps about everyone else below them. You know? It's a dystopian kind of book. So his wife dies at the beginning. He finds motivation, like, hey, I need to change what's happening. So he infiltrates the golds. That's basically the first book. And then it's like kind of like I guess everyone describes like Hunger Games Battle Royale. He infiltrates as a gold, he passes the test, gets into like is it called the academy? It's basically a fight to the death kind of book, but a little more interesting. Like it's not exactly straightforward as that. Like they're split up into houses, like House Minerva, House Apollo, or I think Jupiter, all that. And all the houses have to figure out how to take over all the houses to be number one. And there really are no rules. They can kill you if they want. And it's pretty barbaric, if I do say so myself. 3.5, 4-star, I don't know. I did enjoy it. Next book I read, Feybound by Sa'ara El Arifi. I should look up how to pronounce her name, or theirs. I like to be able to pronounce people's names correctly, so if I ever meet you, odds are we won't meet. If I say your name wrong, please correct me. I'd rather say your name correct. Has an average rating of 3.76. Gave it 3 stars. I was a little disappointed in this book. It's another new release, and it was one that I was very interested in. When I found out it had like fae in it, I was like, oh dear. I don't know, but then I read the synopsis and I was like, wait, I think I'm interested in this one. Because I don't know, as soon as I see fae or fairy, I'm kind of like put off from the book, if I'm being honest. I don't know, there was just something about this book that didn't quite click with me. I still enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favorite. So it got 3 stars. I can't remember what about it that made it 3 stars for me. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Euron is a warrior in the Elven army, and they're fighting the other side. Like, the Elven army is basically like split into 2 armies, I believe, and they're fighting each other. And then there's the Fae that everyone thinks no longer exists along with humans. Humans are completely extinct, so just elves. She got promoted at the beginning to colonel, I believe, and then she makes a mistake, gets not expelled. What is it? Not expelled. Exiled. I know it starts with an E. She gets exiled. And then her sister follows her along with the guy from the army, who I guess holds her in very high esteem and friendship. So he follows her. Then they end up discovering fairies. Fae. They end up discovering Fae. They get trapped in the Fae world because it's like, oh, you guys can't tell anyone else we exist, or we'll have to kill you, kind of thing. Stuff happens to Euron in the Fae world, and they're like, how is this possible? You're not Fae. You're an elf. And then, the storyline goes on from that. I did enjoy it. I just can't remember why it only got 3 stars. But anyways, I'm going to continue the series when the second book comes out. I have 2 more books in February. The next book I read was Iron Flame, the second book for the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros. Average rating 4.36, which is a lot higher than I thought it was going to be because everyone was like, I'm disappointed. This is not great. So my expectations were so low for this book because everyone was complaining about it. I gave it 4 stars. I don't know, there's just something about this series that I love it. It's not the best writing, which, like, it doesn't have to be amazing writing for you to enjoy a story. I love the dragons. I'm attached to the characters. I think the writing got a little better, but not at the same time, if that makes sense. There was like things that were repetitive. Like every time Xaden and Violet were together, when they were finally together, and like she kind of forgave him what happened in the first book, it was just like she was saying the same thing, like, I'm in love with this man. He's so tall and handsome. Like, what? Not those exact words, but it's just like the same thing over and over again. And since they're the main character relationship in the book, it's just like, okay, we get it. Can you say something else? Also, by like the middle of the book, I felt like it could have ended there and the rest of it could have been the 3rd book and just flesh this first half out and then flesh the second half out for the 3rd book. That's kind of how I felt. Yeah, it was a lot in one book, and I definitely don't think it needed to be as long as it was. I definitely can see the issues with this book, but gosh darn it, I still enjoyed it. I can't help it. I still enjoyed it, guys. Don't judge me too harshly. And then the last book I read was Hidden Bodies the second book in the Year series by Carolyn Kepnes. It has average rating of 3.74. I gave it 3 stars. But this one is like where it's not exactly like the TV series, which is kind of something I enjoyed about it because I didn't want to read like something copy paste. So I kind of enjoy that. It was like that. It has love in it, so it's where he meets love and their love story ensues with his craziness. But I think I prefer the way the adaptation, the TV adaptation, did it. I don't know. At this point, I'm not really interested in reading the rest of the books. That might change in the future, but as of right now, I don't know if I'm going to continue the series. Got 3 stars, so I still enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it enough to want to keep reading at this moment in time. But that is the books I've read for February. I had 15 books in January. How many books did I read for February? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's still a good amount, you know? Oh, and I did DNF one. See? I'm working on DNFing. For the book club I had with my friend, we chose Jane Eyre. We were both going to reread it. I couldn't do it. I do not enjoy the relationship between Jane and Mr. Rochester, and the writing was just so dry. And I love classics. Like, before I got really into fantasy, I was nonfiction, classics, fiction reader, okay? Contemporary stuff, didn't really touch, even though I loved fantasy growing up, so I did read Game of Thrones though, so like fantasy was still there, which is just not as like big a role in my reading as it is now. I'm just like consuming it, but I just couldn't do it. I was like, and I thought I liked this book when I read it. I'm pretty sure I read it for a college course. I just couldn't do it. Even when I was like trying to view it as like a satire, because I feel like that felt right for it, I just couldn't, and I love satire, and I couldn't do it. It's like the part where they're like confessing their love to her, and like Roger's like, oh, Jane. And I was like, just the dramatics of it. I was like, this has to be satire, right? Because I'm like, this man is 40 with an 18-year-old. I'm like, no. I didn't finish it. Hope you guys enjoyed this all over the place video with my all over the place self. I'm going to try to be more consistent with the monthly wrap-ups. So March, I'm going to try and do it in April, the beginning of April. So yeah, I think the next video I want to do is just talking about the book series that I've completed or continuing reading or not going to continue reading, just like overall overview of what I started last year and what I'm starting this year and all that jazz. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, whenever this video goes up, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.